The Dark Side of Goodness. Lessons from Machiavelli. Introduction. NICCOLO Machiavelli, the Renaissance political philosopher, is often misunderstood as a champion of ruthlessness. However, his work The Prince reveals a deeper truth, that goodness, when taken to extremes, can be self-destructive. He argues that leaders must sometimes embrace morally ambiguous actions to maintain stability and power. This idea, that virtue can become a vice, is the dark side of goodness. The paradox of virtue. Machiavelli observed that leaders who cling rigidly to moral ideals often fail. A ruler who is always kind, trusting, or generous may be exploited by rivals. Goodness, when unchecked by pragmatism, can weaken authority. Machiavelli warns that in politics, survival sometimes demands actions that seem harsh or unjust. 2. The necessity of fear. He famously wrote that it is better for a leader to be feared than loved, if they must choose. Love is fickle, but fear ensures obedience. A ruler who relies solely on being good may find their kindness mistaken for weakness, inviting betrayal. 3. The limits of mercy. Excessive mercy can enable chaos. Machiavelli uses the example of a lenient ruler whose subjects grow unruly. Sometimes decisive punishment, even cruelty, is necessary to prevent greater harm. The good leader who avoids conflict may allow disorder to flourish. The danger of honesty. Machiavelli advises that while honesty is virtuous, a leader must also be a skilled deceiver when necessary. Always telling the truth can make one predictable and vulnerable. Strategic lies may preserve peace or deter enemies. 5. The illusion of fairness. Politics is not a moral playground. Machiavelli argues that expecting fairness in power struggles is naive. A leader who insists on playing fair, while rivals do not, will likely be outmaneuvered. 6. The cost of idealism. Idealism can blind leaders to reality. Machiavelli warns that those who refuse to adapt, who insist on purity of principle, often fall to those who are more flexible. Compromise is not weakness, but survival. 7. The role of force. Good intentions alone cannot defend a state. Machiavelli stresses that power must be backed by strength. A pacifist ruler may invite invasion. Sometimes preemptive force is the lesser evil. 8. The art of manipulation. Machiavelli does not celebrate deceit but acknowledges its utility. Leaders must sometimes manipulate perceptions using propaganda or stage gestures to maintain control. Absolute transparency can be destabilizing. 9. The balance of vice and virtue. A successful leader, Machiavelli argues, must know when to employ vice and when to display virtue. Too much of either leads to ruin. The key is adaptability, doing what the situation demands. 10. The harsh reality of human nature. Machiavelli's dark view stems from his belief that people are self-interested. Trusting others too much invites betrayal. A leader must assume that not everyone operates by noble motives. 11. The fall of the righteous. History, Machiavelli notes, is filled with morally upright leaders who were overthrown. Their downfall was not their goodness, but their inability to recognize when to abandon it. 12. The justification of evil. Machiavelli does not advocate evil for its own sake, but argues that some evils prevent greater ones. A single act of cruelty may prevent prolonged suffering, a grim but practical calculation. 13. The leader as a lion and fox. A ruler must be both strong, a lion, and cunning, a fox. Pure goodness lacks the teeth to defend itself, while pure ruthlessness lacks legitimacy. The balance is key. 14. The end. Justifying the means. This infamous idea is often oversimplified. Machiavelli suggests that actions must be judged by outcomes, not just intentions. A good deed that causes harm is worse than a bad one that brings stability. 15. The lesson for modern leadership. Machiavelli's insights remain relevant. Leaders today must navigate moral dilemmas where rigid idealism can be dangerous. The dark side of goodness reminds us that effective leadership sometimes requires uncomfortable choices, not out of malice, but necessity. Conclusion. Machiavelli's philosophy is not an endorsement of evil, but a warning about the dangers of unchecked virtue. In a flawed world, leaders must sometimes embrace the dark side of goodness to protect what matters most.